Mind and Brain Hacking for Success. Introduction. Mind and brain hacking for success will transform how you see your entire life. It is more than a guide. It's a blueprint for understanding yourself on a deeper level. Through this journey, you will gain insights into your own flaws and insecurities and receive actionable instructions to overcome them, ultimately improving every aspect of your life. Mind and brain hacking is not about changing everything that defines you as a person. Instead, it's about identifying and understanding your shortcomings, those habits, routines, or behaviors that hold you back. Once you recognize them, you can take steps to change them. Perhaps you've already pinpointed certain negative patterns in your life. Maybe you've tried to change them before, only to find yourself falling back into the same routines. This book is designed to help you break free from those cycles for good. Using the examples and methods provided, you will learn how to erase the negative traits and habits that hinder your growth. This isn't a quick fix. Real, lasting change requires time and dedication. Changing a habit or introducing a new one is a process. It takes effort, persistence, and patience. However, once you commit to that process, you'll find yourself moving closer to the person you want to become. It's important to understand that improvement doesn't happen overnight. The path to change is gradual, but every small step brings you closer to your ultimate goal. Whether it's improving your productivity, managing your emotions better, or letting go of harmful habits, the journey will be worth it. After all, isn't that what we all strive for? Success, in its truest sense, is about achieving our personal best and finding fulfillment in what we do. As humans, we are naturally competitive. We seek to rise above challenges, to be first, to lead, and to achieve. This competitive drive has propelled us forward as a species and fueled technological advancements, scientific breakthroughs, and artistic masterpieces. Yet imagine if this drive wasn't limited to a few individuals. Imagine if everyone took a step forward, consciously improving themselves and shedding the behaviors that harm themselves and others. If each of us worked to eliminate just one negative habit, the ripple effect would be extraordinary. Think of it like a vaccine. When enough people take action, the negative aspects of society, whether they're harmful behaviors, toxic attitudes, or detrimental habits, could be significantly reduced, even eliminated. Of course, this idea may sound idealistic. A world without negativity is hard to envision. But even if this vision isn't fully attainable, small changes still have the power to make a profound impact. Take a moment to reflect on the larger challenges we face: political strife, climate change, and endangered species. These issues often feel insurmountable, and it's easy to feel too small to make a difference. But what if unity, shared purpose, and collective action could become the norm? While solving global problems requires widespread collaboration, the journey begins with individual change. By improving ourselves, we set an example for others. When enough people commit to change, the small transformations in individual lives begin to accumulate, leading to greater, collective progress. Change starts with you, and your actions can inspire those around you to take their own steps forward. This book is your starting point. It is your guide to identifying, understanding, and addressing the areas of your life that need improvement. It's about controlling your mind and your behavior, not just for your own benefit but for the world around you. Every small change you make has the potential to create a ripple effect, one that could ultimately lead to a better, brighter future for everyone. Let's embark on this journey together. Small changes can lead to remarkable transformations. As you begin this process, remember, the work you do today will lay the foundation for the life you've always wanted. Together, step by step, we will hack our minds, reshape our habits, and rewrite our futures. It all begins here. Chapter 1. What exactly is mind hacking? Mind and brain hacking might sound like a fascinating concept, particularly to someone who has never heard of it before. The term may evoke ideas of secret agencies or advanced technologies capable of penetrating your mind, extracting your thoughts, or uncovering your plans, desires, and fears. That was my initial reaction when I first encountered the phrase years ago. I remember spending weeks pondering whether such a technology could exist and researching the idea in hopes of finding answers. What I discovered was surprising yet comforting. Mind hacking isn't about external forces infiltrating your mind. It's a framework, a theory designed to help people change themselves for the better. Mind hacking is about reclaiming control over your habits, behaviors, and thought patterns. It's a way to address the negative tendencies we all have and replace them with healthier, more constructive alternatives. Let's face it, we all make mistakes. We all have bad habits, whether they're small nuisances or larger issues that deeply impact our lives. For some people, these bad habits are severe enough to threaten their well-being. Perhaps they're tied to lifestyle choices or even addictions like excessive drinking, drug use, or compulsive shopping. For others, bad habits may be more subtle, patterns in speech, thinking, or behavior that undermine their performance or relationships. Regardless of the scale, these habits deserve our attention. It's in everyone's best interest to identify and address them, no matter how minor or overwhelming they may seem. But here's the challenge. As humans, we often fail to see our own flaws. It's much easier to spot imperfections in others while remaining blind to our own. This tendency stems from human nature. We often idolize ourselves, building an inflated sense of self-worth that blinds us to our shortcomings. Our egos work hard to protect us from admitting we have a negative side. While we may notice undesirable traits in others, it's far more difficult to recognize and accept them within ourselves. Some people manage to overcome this barrier and acknowledge their flaws, yet they remain unwilling to change. Take, for instance, someone who smokes cigarettes, drinks excessively, or uses drugs. They might fully understand the harm they're causing to their body, finances, or relationships. However, the enjoyment or comfort they derive from these habits outweighs their desire to change. They convince themselves they're in control, that they can quit anytime they want. Yet, more often than not, their consumption spirals beyond what they intended, leaving visible and invisible scars. We've all encountered someone who smokes and has tried to quit. Maybe it's a friend, a family member, or even yourself. They had strong reasons for stopping: health concerns, financial pressure, or something entirely else. At first, they did well. Days turned into weeks, perhaps even months, without a single cigarette. But then something happened. A moment of stress or nostalgia triggered the desire for just one more. That one cigarette became the catalyst for a full relapse, often leading to a smoking habit even worse than before. This pattern of starting and stopping is familiar, and it's not limited to smoking. It applies to many behaviors in desperate need of change, including something as devastating as violence. Let's consider domestic violence, a behavior that deeply damages not just the person exhibiting it, but also the victims who endure it. Often, the aggressor is a male figure attempting to assert dominance within the household. Violence, whether verbal or physical, leaves lasting scars. Verbal abuse might seem less severe, but words have power. Insults and derogatory language, particularly when directed at a child, can leave emotional wounds that alter a person's sense of self and their ability to navigate the world. Physical violence, on the other hand, leaves visible marks that victims may carry for a lifetime. Beyond the physical pain, the psychological toll is immense, often leading to long-term trauma or even life-threatening consequences. Despite the severity of these outcomes, some individuals fail to consider the repercussions of their actions, choosing fists over communication to resolve conflicts. Occasionally, the aggressor will realize the harm they're causing and make promises to change. They'll repent, seek forgiveness, and even manage to control their anger for a while. However, without a deeper shift in their mindset and habits, they often relapse, returning to the same destructive behaviors. This cycle of violence continues until something drastic occurs. The family leaves, legal intervention happens, or a tragic event forces a reckoning. These examples, whether it's addiction to substances, smoking, or violent tendencies, illustrate how difficult it can be to break free from harmful patterns. Even when the desire to change is present, many people fall back into familiar behaviors, trapped in a loop of momentary progress followed by regression. Mind hacking offers a way out of this cycle. It's not about quick fixes or superficial changes. Instead, it's a comprehensive approach to understanding why we behave the way we do and how to rewire our thoughts and actions for lasting improvement. To hack your mind is to take control of your life. It's a commitment to uncovering the root causes of your habits, addressing them head-on, and replacing them with healthier alternatives. The process is challenging and requires persistence, but it's also empowering. It's about reclaiming agency over your choices and breaking free from the habits and behaviors that no longer serve you. This chapter lays the foundation for that journey. As we continue, you'll learn practical strategies for identifying, understanding, and transforming the patterns that hold you back. Change is possible, but it starts with self-awareness and the willingness to take the first step. Let's begin this journey toward a better, more empowered version of yourself. Chapter 2. Identifying bad behavior and negative habits. There are countless examples of bad behaviors and negative habits that we all carry with us. Some are easy to recognize, glaringly obvious even, while others are subtler, hidden beneath layers of routine and self-perception. The problematic behaviors that stand out, like those we discussed earlier, are often easier to address because we're already aware of their impact. Maybe we've even tried to change them. But the habits that elude our awareness require a different kind of effort. These are the ones that often need an external perspective, the observations of friends, family, or colleagues, to come to light. The process of identifying these habits requires objectivity. When we approach our shortcomings subjectively, we're prone to finding excuses, downplaying the significance of our actions, or shifting the blame onto others. We might say, "It's not a big deal," or "I can stop whenever I want." We may even lash out defensively, criticizing the people who bring these habits to our attention. I'm certain we've all been in situations like this, whether as the one confronting someone else about their behavior or as the person being confronted. Let me paint a picture. Imagine two friends or family members. One of them has a habit that annoys everyone around them. They're a know-it-all who constantly interjects their opinions, even when no one asked for them. The other person finally decides to confront them, hoping for change. The confrontation begins, and the first person is taken aback. Instead of reflecting on the critique, they deflect, pointing out an insecurity or flaw in the other person. "Well, you're always too insecure to speak up for yourself," they might say. What started as an attempt to address one bad habit spirals into an argument, leaving both parties frustrated and no closer to resolution. This scenario illustrates a common issue: the reluctance to acknowledge our flaws. Yet, understanding and accepting our imperfections is crucial. As humans, we are inherently flawed. We make mistakes, and that's okay. Mistakes are not failures. They're opportunities to grow. The real failure is refusing to admit when we've done something wrong or refusing to take the steps necessary to fix it. Imagine a mechanical engineer building a complex machine. During construction, they realize they've overlooked a critical detail. Fixing the error will cost extra time and effort, but leaving it as it is could result in the machine failing catastrophically, endangering lives. A responsible engineer would take the time to repair their mistake, no matter how inconvenient, because the stakes are too high to ignore. Our personal lives are no different. Whether the flaws we carry are minor quirks or deeply ingrained habits, the goal should always be self-improvement. We must learn to identify and address the aspects of our behavior that hinder us or harm those around us. Of course, some aspects of life are beyond our control. Unexpected challenges, external forces, and unchangeable circumstances will always exist. But there are also countless areas where we hold the power to make a difference. Too often, we choose inaction, not because we can't change, but because we convince ourselves that change won't matter. Take daily routines as an example. Many people thrive on routines, whether they consciously establish them or not. Others prefer to live moment to moment, believing that structure and organization don't make a difference. But let's examine the outcomes of these approaches. A person with a well-structured routine might wake up early, exercise, enjoy breakfast, and tackle their day with purpose. They're likely to feel energized, relaxed, and accomplished. Contrast this with someone who stays up late, struggles to wake up, rushes through their morning, and ends the day feeling exhausted and unproductive. The difference between these two lifestyles isn't just in how the day unfolds. It's in the long-term impact on energy, motivation, and overall well-being. When our days are disorganized, we often feel overwhelmed, stressed, and incapable of change. These feelings of doubt and anxiety stem from past experiences of failure, creating a cycle that saps our confidence and keeps us stuck. Yet failures are not the end. They are lessons, stepping stones that shape us into stronger, wiser individuals. No one learns to walk without falling. Every stumble is part of the process, and every failure carries the potential to teach us something valuable. The key is to keep trying. Stand up, dust yourself off, and move forward. This resilience, this refusal to give up, is what allows us to achieve extraordinary things. When it comes to mind and brain hacking, the process begins with identification. We must pinpoint the habits, thoughts, and behaviors that hold us back. But identification is only the first step. True transformation requires action. Reprogramming our minds, altering our routines, and reshaping our lives. Mind hacking isn't limited to personality changes. Its potential extends to every aspect of life. You can use these techniques to improve your memory, enhance intellectual and physical skills, regulate emotional responses, and develop traits that align with your goals. Whatever you want to change, you can. The strategies exist, and with determination, you can succeed. In the next chapter, we'll delve deeper into the techniques and tools of mind and brain hacking. Together, we'll explore how to apply them effectively, unlocking your potential and transforming you into the person you aspire to be. This journey isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Let's continue forward, step by step, toward a better, brighter version of yourself. Chapter 3. How to Reprogram Your Mind. I imagine many of you are wondering, is it even possible to reprogram the brain? The idea might sound far-fetched at first glance, but I assure you, it's not only possible. It's a process we can all learn and practice. By now, you've begun to understand that our minds can be hacked and adjusted for better functioning. The real question is, how do we do it? That's what this chapter is all about. The first and most crucial step in reprogramming your mind is recognizing its existence and understanding how it works. It's not enough to know that your mind is there, ticking away in the background. You need to actively acknowledge it as an integral part of who you are, a complex and dynamic system that processes the world through the senses. Our minds function as intricate systems of input, processing, and output. We receive information through sensory receptors, sight, sound, taste, touch, and smell. These inputs are relayed through a network of neurons to the brain, where an extraordinary transformation occurs. Information is converted into signals that travel to specific centers of the brain for interpretation. From there, the brain directs the body's responses, whether physical, emotional, or intellectual. Even the simplest actions, like drinking a glass of water, involve countless steps. First, your brain recognizes thirst. Then, visual information guides you to locate the water and a glass. Your brain processes spatial data to direct your hand to pick up the glass, pour water into it, and lift it to your lips. As you tilt the glass and drink, tactile feedback confirms you're holding the glass correctly. This seemingly mundane activity relies on a constant back-and-forth exchange between sensory inputs and neural responses. Understanding this process reveals just how sophisticated our minds are. You might think of your mind as advanced software installed in the hardware of your brain, streamlining and coordinating countless operations. But here's the critical part. Software can be updated, debugged, and improved. So can your mind. Visualizing your mind. Have you ever stopped to imagine what your mind looks like? Ask people this question, and you'll hear a variety of answers. Some describe their minds as colorful, fragrant, and tidy. Others see theirs as chaotic and messy. Each of us envisions our minds differently, and that's entirely natural. We are, after all, unique individuals with distinct ways of thinking and perceiving. Your mind is where all your ideas, choices, and actions are born. It's a place of immense creativity and potential, but it's also susceptible to external influences. From the moment we are born, our minds are shaped by the people around us. Parents, siblings, friends, and even societal norms influence our behaviors, values, and decisions. During childhood, we often mirror the behavior of those closest to us. Parents, especially those who are overprotective or controlling, can significantly influence the choices we make, as children often seek their approval. As we grow into adolescence, the focus shifts to peers and cultural figures. We begin to align ourselves with societal expectations, sometimes abandoning our true desires to fit in. This pattern of external influence continues throughout life unless we take deliberate steps to regain control of our minds. Taking control and reprogramming. To reprogram your mind, you must first become aware of it. Awareness is the foundation upon which all change is built. Think of how you analyze a movie or TV show, breaking it down into its elements, the plot, characters, cinematography, and pacing. Similarly, you must analyze your mind. What are its patterns? How does it process information and make decisions? However, the mind can be elusive. Life's distractions often pull us away from introspection. The solution is to cultivate a habit of tracking your thoughts and mental processes. Ask yourself regularly, what is my mind doing right now? At first, this may feel awkward or unnatural, but with practice, it will become second nature. Consider keeping a journal or spreadsheet to note your observations. Over time, you'll develop a clearer understanding of how your mind operates. Routine activities, such as washing dishes, shopping, or walking, provide excellent opportunities to observe your mind. These tasks don't require intense focus, allowing your mind to wander. Pay attention to where it goes. Does it replay past events, imagine future scenarios, or focus on the task at hand? This self-awareness is the first step toward reprogramming your mind. Your mind, friend or foe. Your mind can either be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. To make it a friend, you must train it to work in your favor. Let me share a remarkable story of a scientist diagnosed with schizophrenia. Despite his condition, which caused him to experience vivid delusions and paranoia, he made groundbreaking contributions to science. How? He trained himself to recognize his hallucinations as products of his mind rather than reality. By isolating these imaginations, he was able to continue functioning normally. This story illustrates the power of self-awareness and mental discipline. By learning to identify and separate unhelpful thought patterns, you can prevent them from interfering with your goals. Focusing your mind. Reprogramming your mind also involves training it to focus on what truly matters. Studies have shown that exercises in mental focus can significantly improve attention spans. For instance, participants in one study were asked to concentrate on a specific task. Whenever their minds wandered, they were instructed to redirect their focus. Over time, this practice improved their ability to stay engaged, even in the face of distractions. This skill is invaluable in all areas of life, whether you're studying, working, or simply navigating daily challenges. The importance of metathinking. Thinking is essential, but metathinking, thinking about your thinking, is even more powerful. This skill allows you to plan ahead, anticipate outcomes, and make informed decisions. Consider it like playing a strategy game where every move is calculated based on its potential consequences. In real life, metathinking is crucial for success. For example, if you're starting a business, you need to think beyond the immediate steps of setting it up. You must consider the market, competition, and customer needs. Planning ahead increases your chances of success and helps you avoid costly mistakes. The same principle applies to all aspects of life. Whether it's managing relationships, advancing in your career, or making personal decisions, the ability to anticipate outcomes empowers you to make choices that align with your goals. Unlocking your potential. Now that you understand how your mind works, it's time to access and rewrite its programming. This process requires patience, persistence, and practice, but the rewards are immeasurable. As you train your mind to focus, analyze, and plan, you'll unlock new levels of creativity, resilience, and self-control. Your mind holds the key to your future. By reprogramming it, you can overcome obstacles, achieve your goals, and live a life of purpose and fulfillment. The techniques and strategies discussed here are just the beginning. With dedication, you can transform your mind into your greatest tool for success. Let's move forward together, step by step, and embrace the limitless possibilities that await. Chapter 4. Moving from distraction to focus. One of the most critical steps in reprogramming your mind is learning to identify when it begins to wander away from what truly matters. Once you recognize this, you can guide your thoughts back to the original path of focus and metathinking. The truth is, your mind will often try to distract you. It might introduce seemingly random or irrelevant thoughts, pulling you away from your goals and tasks. This is where your ability to regain control comes into play. You must learn to redirect your mind to what's important, no matter how tempting the distraction might be. Another significant challenge in maintaining focus is the lack of sustained attention. This doesn't mean you're incapable of focusing, but it does mean that external influences, like social media and technology, can easily sidetrack you. Technology is deeply embedded in our lives. It's hard to imagine a day without checking your phone for messages, emails, or news updates. The endless scroll has become second nature to many of us, and while these tools are valuable, they also come with significant downsides. Let's face it, we've all lost hours to our screens without even realizing it. This constant connection to technology creates a type of distraction that is particularly challenging because it preys on our mind's natural tendency to seek novelty. Notifications, alerts, and messages pull our attention away from meaningful work, often without us even noticing. So, how can you combat this? Start by turning off notifications while you're working on something important. This simple act removes one layer of distraction and allows your mind to remain focused. Train yourself to ignore the constant pull of your phone, even when it's within reach. You might also consider tracking how often you check your devices throughout the day. Over time, with intentional effort, you'll likely notice a reduction in these distractions. Breaking free from negative loops. Beyond external distractions, many of us are trapped in internal loops of negative thinking. These loops often stem from fear, insecurity, or past failures. For example, if you're afraid of failure, you might avoid trying something new altogether. This avoidance creates a cycle. Fear leads to inaction, which reinforces the fear, keeping you stuck. The key to breaking free from these loops is to replace them with positive ones. This is where the concept of the law of attraction often comes into play. While some may view it as a myth, the underlying principle holds the truth. If you approach life with positivity and optimism, you're more likely to attract positive outcomes. Conversely, negativity and pessimism can breed further negativity. For instance, if you're trying to quit smoking but constantly tell yourself, "I'll never succeed," you're setting yourself up for failure. On the other hand, starting with a positive mindset, reminding yourself of the health benefits, the money you'll save, and the improvement in your quality of life can increase your chances of success. It all comes down to your state of mind. Determination and confidence are powerful tools, while doubt and insecurity can derail even the best-laid plans. Identifying and analyzing the root causes. To break free from negative loops, you first need to identify their root causes. This process involves introspection, asking yourself why you feel or act a certain way. Keep questioning the underlying issues until you uncover the core problem. For example, if you're afraid of heights, the cause might trace back to a childhood incident, like falling from a tree. Recognizing this connection allows you to reframe your fear and begin replacing it with a healthier perspective. Another effective technique is to imagine the worst-case scenario. By exaggerating and even mocking your fears, you can diminish their power over you. For example, if you're afraid of public speaking, picture yourself stumbling over words and dropping your notes in front of an audience. Then laugh at the absurdity of the situation. This shift in perspective can help you see your fear in a new light. You might also find it helpful to think of your situation as though it were happening to someone else. Ask yourself, what advice would I give a friend in this situation? This approach helps you detach emotionally, enabling you to analyze the problem more objectively. Creating positive loops. Once you've identified the negative loops, the next step is to replace them with positive ones. This involves rethinking your mindset and imagining the best possible scenarios. For example, if you're worried about the future, start envisioning what success might look like 5, 10, or 15 years from now. Where do you want to be? What steps can you take to get there? By focusing on positive outcomes, you'll feel more motivated and empowered to work toward your goals. Let's consider two students as an example. Both are freshmen in medical school, dreaming of becoming doctors. The first student is diligent, completing assignments on time and staying focused on their studies. They have a clear 10-year plan and work steadily toward their goal. The second student, while equally ambitious, procrastinates, misses deadlines, and struggles to keep up. Over time, the stress and negativity build, leading them to doubt their abilities. Eventually, they give up, convinced that success is unattainable. The difference between these two students lies in their mindsets and habits. The first student uses positive loops to stay motivated and on track, while the second succumbs to negative loops, allowing doubt to dictate their actions. Finding perspective and motivation. One powerful exercise to gain perspective is to imagine what people might say about you at your funeral. This might sound morbid, but it's an effective way to clarify your values and goals. What do you want to be remembered for? What legacy do you want to leave behind? Knowing the answers to these questions can help you focus your energy on what truly matters. For some, the reality of death serves as a motivator to take action, start new projects, or complete unfinished ones. It reminds us that time is finite, urging us to make the most of every moment. Others, however, might feel paralyzed by the thought of death. In such cases, professional help may be necessary to address underlying anxiety or depression. Practical strategies for reprogramming. Reprogramming your mind requires practice, persistence, and patience. Here's an example. Sue is someone who struggles with standing up for herself. After receiving cold, soggy food at a restaurant, she refuses to complain, fearing humiliation and rejection. This behavior stems from her upbringing, where she was told she didn't deserve good things. Encouraged by her friends, Sue begins to work on her self-confidence. She writes a note reminding herself of her worth and practices standing up for herself in small ways. Over time, these efforts pay off. On her next visit to the restaurant, she confidently returns an unsatisfactory dish and receives the meal she wanted. This small victory reinforces her newfound belief in her value, helping her reprogram her mind. Replacing bad habits with better ones. The best way to eliminate bad habits is to replace them with better ones. For example, if you want to wake up earlier, start by gradually adjusting your bedtime and setting your alarm slightly earlier each day. Over time, your body and mind will adapt to the new routine. Change doesn't happen overnight, but with consistent effort, you can reshape your habits, reprogram your mind, and unlock your full potential. By keeping track of your thoughts, identifying problems, and implementing positive changes, you'll take control of your life and move closer to the future you envision. Chapter 5. Brain Hacking Exposed. Yes, I know how it sounds, like something out of a sci-fi novel or a conspiracy theory involving aliens and advanced technologies. But let me assure you, brain hacking has nothing to do with extraterrestrial beings. It's a practice rooted in science and psychology, a way to reprogram how our brains function and enhance areas we want to improve. Brain hacking, though often associated with mind hacking, is not exactly the same. The two share overlapping principles, but brain hacking delves more into retraining and stimulating specific areas of the brain. For example, consider someone who has suffered a stroke. A stroke can leave a person unable to speak, walk, or remember things. Rehabilitation therapy steps in to retrain the brain, often reprogramming undamaged areas to take over functions previously handled by the damaged regions. I'll share a personal story. My former language professor suffered a severe stroke that robbed him of his ability to speak. Imagine the irony. A language professor rendered unable to use the very skill that defined his career. But he didn't give up. Through sheer determination and rehabilitation, he relearned how to form words, construct sentences, and speak fluently once again. This remarkable journey shows that, like a computer with corrupted files, our brains can be rebooted and reprogrammed to function anew. Reprogramming specific brain functions. Let's say you're someone with strong analytical skills but little creative flair. Perhaps you've met someone who inspires you to explore art, creativity, or storytelling, and you want to develop that side of yourself. You can train your brain to think more creatively by immersing yourself in activities like writing or painting. Writing is an excellent way to stimulate creativity. Begin by brainstorming ideas for a story, develop a plot, characters, and settings. Explore different scenarios and write freely without worrying about perfection. Writing isn't a skill you learn by reading about it. It's something you improve by doing. Similarly, if painting interests you, start experimenting with different techniques. Adult coloring books can also help you relax, brainstorm, and engage with creative processes. On the flip side, if you're looking to enhance your organizational skills, the principle remains the same. Identify what areas need improvement and practice methods that suit your needs, whether it's creating detailed schedules, using productivity tools, or setting up routines that streamline your day. Boosting memory and learning. Memory improvement is another area where brain hacking can yield incredible results. If you're struggling to remember information or learn new things, there are various memorization techniques you can try. The first step is understanding your learning style. For instance, I'm an audiovisual learner. I absorb information more effectively through listening or watching than by simply reading. Documentaries, lectures, or visual aids help solidify my understanding of a subject. Others might prefer mnemonic devices, association techniques, or hands-on learning. Once you identify what works best for you, learning becomes a more enjoyable and productive process. Improving logical and critical thinking. If you want to sharpen your logical or critical thinking skills, puzzles and riddles can be incredibly effective tools. Activities like Sudoku, logic puzzles, and escape room games challenge your brain to think systematically and creatively. These tasks often require you to analyze information, think outside the box, and piece together solutions. Escape room games, whether virtual or in-person, are particularly engaging. The goal is to solve a series of interconnected puzzles to escape a locked room. While these activities are primarily designed for entertainment, they also enhance problem-solving abilities, strategic thinking, and teamwork. For critical thinking, consider joining a book club or engaging in thoughtful discussions about literature, philosophy, or social issues. These activities push you to examine multiple perspectives, ask probing questions, and articulate your ideas clearly. The path to brain hacking success. As with any form of self-improvement, brain hacking requires persistence. You need to identify the specific area you want to improve, whether it's creativity, memory, logical reasoning, or something else, and commit to exercises and techniques that stimulate that part of your brain. It won't happen overnight, but the results are worth the effort. For example, Sue, a shy and non-confrontational person, decided to work on standing up for herself. She wrote motivational notes reminding herself of her worth and practiced asserting herself in small, manageable ways. Over time, these efforts rewired her brain, enabling her to face challenges confidently. Expanding the horizons of brain hacking. Brain hacking isn't just about solving current problems. It's about unlocking potential. By consistently stimulating and challenging your brain, you can develop new skills, enhance existing ones, and push the boundaries of what you thought was possible. For instance, if you've always struggled with waking up early, you can reprogram your routine by gradually adjusting your bedtime and wake-up time. Start small. Set your alarm 30 minutes earlier and go to bed 30 minutes earlier. Over time, your body will adapt and the new routine will become second nature. Similarly, if you want to break free from negative thought patterns, you can replace them with positive loops. When faced with a daunting task, imagine the best-case scenario rather than dwelling on potential failures. Focus on what you stand to gain rather than what you might lose. Final thoughts on brain hacking. The journey of brain hacking is deeply personal, and the methods that work for one person might not work for another. The key is to remain curious, open-minded, and willing to experiment. Whether you're enhancing creativity, sharpening logic, or overcoming fears, the process begins with self-awareness and a commitment to growth. Remember, brain hacking isn't about perfection, it's about progress. It's about taking small, intentional steps toward becoming the best version of yourself. As you continue to explore and apply these techniques, you'll find that the possibilities for growth are truly limitless. Please note that the strategies and techniques discussed in this chapter and throughout this audiobook are for educational and entertainment purposes only. They are not a substitute for professional advice. If you are experiencing significant challenges or mental health issues, consider seeking guidance from a qualified professional. Your well-being is the highest priority, and professional support can provide tailored solutions for your unique needs. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more content, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below.